my testers are asking of us to automate. And it's not just you answering the question. It's a roundtable. Literally, you'll have other people from other companies, other consultants or contractors who are also at STPCon. They'll sit at the table, and you'll get 12 answers and a good round. It truly is a round table for sure.
Exactly, and that's absolutely my goal. If I don't speak at all, or if I speak last in any sort of the conversations, then I believe it'll have been a success because, like you said, we really want to invite the participants to come in, bring your issues, your problems, or the solutions. Hey, I had this really pain in the behind thing that I had, and here's how we solved it. Does anybody have any ideas on how to improve that? Or is this useful to anybody? I really want it to be a bit more free form where the attendees can kind of decide the direction, but I really want to steer clear of tool specific things like how do I use tool X or which tool is the best for mobile. We can discuss those things in the hallway over drinks after, but for the session, I really want to keep it more of almost a collaborative problem solving session.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Paul, let me just throw a straight up question straight at you. Okay. What is the number one question that you get from other testers about automation?
A lot of questions that I get revolve around, how do you prove to management that we should pay for this? Oh, yeah. And they're different answers depending on what difficulty you're having with your management is. If it's really just they don't believe in it, you can start doing what I call the drug dealer approach, and that's the first one's free and the rest are going to cost you, where you or someone enterprising on your team spends a weekend working on something or works a few off hours, puts something together that's really valuable, something that's just going to take care of a particular problem, but something that you're going to outgrow. Because what happens is that, hey, look at the efficiencies we've gained, but without some additional funding, some time, some people, some whatever, we're not going to be able to keep this up. We just can't sustain this. So we're going to lose these efficiencies and these advantages if we don't invest in this some more. And I've seen that work pretty well. The other thing is people are so focused on return on investment, and sometimes return on investment is very easy to calculate. And I've got a couple of examples in my presentation as well. But a lot of times what I focus on is opportunity cost. Sure. Yeah, because I have to do this by hand or myself personally, I can't get to the next thing. But if we invest a little bit where we can get the computers to do what the computers are good at, then the humans can get on to the next thing that they're good at. And you reduce this opportunity cost by investing up front in some technology.
Yeah, I another way I've heard it said is invert this as to what is it costing you to be not automated.
Yes.
And so much of the industry, not just in testing, but generally in programming and operations and plant floor automation. I mean, in so many parts of the world, we've automated banking and cash. All sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's more like let's really analyze what the cost is for you to not be automated, because that will be more people I think can understand it. Maybe the executive guys who write the checks, that would be good.
Exactly.
Now, Paul, you're also a member with myself on the Software Testing Professionals Customer Advisory Board, Community Advisory Board, and we love STPCon, but I'd love to hear from you. Before you even joined up with the CAB or kind of started becoming a more regular contributor, what is the thing in your mind that attracted you to STPCon as a conference?
I'm not much of a traditionalist when it comes to a lot of approaches. I'm more of a pragmatist. So when I was looking at going out to start speaking and doing some things outside of the local community, I went to my boss at the time, who's actually my current boss as well, and I talked to him a little about it. And what he suggested was that STPCon was probably a more accepting audience for my non-traditional approaches than some of the other other conferences were. Not that there's anything wrong with the other conferences. It's all about what's appropriate. My stuff would not play well there, and their stuff may not play well at STPCon, just because different audiences go for different things. And sometimes we even have crossover where some of the attendees were at some of the more traditional conferences, and then they come to STPCon because they get different things there. Yeah. But STP did accept my first presentation, and I went out to San Diego. So this will be my return trip out there and presented, and apparently people didn't hate me, so I was asked back the next time I put a proposal together.
There you go. And that's right. I think if I think about the first time hearing out about STPCon, I wasn't even attending. I think I snuck in. And Scott Barber was at one of the small hotels somewhere. This was years and years ago. And it was less of a, kind of come to learn the traditional way things are done, and here's yet another session on how to write a test case or what test requirements are, and it was much more like these are challenging sessions that maybe a challenge are more creative and challenge the status quo a little bit, and that really means that the participants, people like yourself and myself coming in, you need to be able to understand the ambiguity that there's no right or wrong answer. This is gray area. It may apply to you. It may not. If you like thinking that way and sort of, hey, give me 5 choices and I'll figure out which one is best for my company or my situation. STPCon just breathes that when you're there. It makes sense that people are like, I love getting 6 points of view in a roundtable on test automation with Paul.
Yes, I think. I'm very optimistic that we as an advisory board have done a good job over the last year since we got together at looking at what STPCon was doing and making some recommendations on how do we further the exact thing that you talked about there. Yeah. The collaborative approach, the non-traditional approach, the more advanced view on things being appropriate, most appropriate in class as opposed to best in class kind of thing. Yeah. And taking it that next step, and I've really tried to do that with the automation because I've been the automation track chair for this particular conference. I'm very anxious to see how well it plays because we do have a little bit of introductory material for the first timers, but also we've got some material where I kind of thought about it and said, what do people like me and Michael Hiles and Mark Tomlinson, what do they want to see? What's going to be challenging or new or interesting for us to come down, to sit down there and go, wow, I learned something. And I focused on that as well.
That's excellent. Paul, the last thing was the question posted on Twitter from my buddy Ralph Lose, who says, Skynet, when is it going to happen?
2020.
2020. Okay, that's good. It coincides with the sliding window Y2K fix. Right?
Yes, yes, it does.
Yeah, so it'll be good. We'll write AI code to go solve the 2020 problem, and that will give birth to Skynet.
Yes, and then our evil robot overlords will take revenge on me for saying things like bend technology to my will.
That's right. And those guys, even if they're robots, they still don't really know how to test.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
It's just an algorithm, running in the background. Paul, thank you very much for joining STP Radio for an interview. Now, folks can obviously come and attend STPCon to hook up with you. How else can people get in touch with you and follow you?
They can follow me on LinkedIn, PaulGrizzaffi, or they can follow me on Twitter @PGrizzaffi.
Grizzaffi, there you go. That'll be excellent. Paul, thanks again, man, and we'll see you in San Diego.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of STP Radio. As your host, it's my pleasure to bring these intriguing and engaging conversations to assist you in your quest to become a better software tester. Please be aware that this podcast is a production of the Software Test Professionals organization and is copyrighted and protected via the Creative Commons Share with Attribution non-derivative licensing. For more information, please visit www.softwaretestpro.com. On behalf of myself and the entire STP community, please share this podcast with your fellow testers and developers and managers. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us on the next episode of STP Radio.